To come out of executive session?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Sherry?
Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins.
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon,
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes. Need a motion to reconvene as the County Board of Equalization?
Motion to convene as County Board of Equalization.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Sherry, will you call the roll?
Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon,
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes.
It was on Carla's computer.
That's pretty.
Consider a motion to approve
Osmosis.
our consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Sherry?
Commissioner Aaron's,
Oh,
Yes.
sorry.
Commissioner Poppins,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon,
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes.
So who
Move on to item 1 on our regular Board of Equalization agenda, scheduled for 1:30, or excuse me, for 9:30 this morning.
That hearing has been rescheduled until May 3rd at the request of the appellant.
All right, we'll move on to item 2 on our agenda.
Our next appeal is parcel number 250, and maybe I should explain.
Hold on, I was just gonna say.
Yeah, go ahead.
So we're gonna have to rescind the motion that we made on April 20th? Because we had set the values at the assessor's recommendation, and now we're rehearing it, and then I can let Carla explain that.
Go ahead.
Right, this particular appeal, we went with the assessor recommendation. The appellant did not appear in person or by phone. They did contact our office sometime during the day on the 20th. They did provide a phone number to one of our assessors, and that phone number did not make our list to call them on the 20th. Therefore, I'm just asking the commissioner to hear this hearing from the beginning.
All right, go ahead.
But
We've
we
got
need a
a-
motion to rescind.
I'll make a
Okay.
motion to rescind the previous motion to
Thank
adopt
you.
the assessors.
Thank you, Commissioner Aaron's. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? If not, we call the roll, please.
Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon,
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes. Go ahead, Carla.
Okay, so our next appeal is parcel number 250.15.00.C100. It's owned by Wilson Trailer Company, located at 415 East Oriole in Lenox, South Dakota. It's a manufacturing facility. There are a couple of additions. The original building was built in 2007 with a 2011 addition. We have approximately 160,269 square feet, 30-foot sidewalls. It sits on approximately 24.88 acres, or 1,084,208 square feet. Our assessment went out at $10,263,606, in which the appellant appealed that decision. We are giving some information to the commission for consideration. We have a couple sales that we felt were important with the decision-making of our assessment, two of which are on our next slide. One of the sales occurred in 2018 for $4,481,522. It's approximately, it's less than half of the size of the subject property. We have that assessed at $7,207,319. It did have a 2020 addition built on, so that's why the assessment's over the sale price. Our next comparable is a little more current. It sold in March of 2019 for $4,400,000. We currently have it assessed at $4,653,628. Again, this is approximately 42,000 square feet, so about a fourth of the size of the subject property. The the third comparable is assessment equity, just showing what, how our assessments are in line on these types of facilities. You can see the price per square foot on that particular property. So overall, we are currently assessing our subject property at $63 a square foot. The cost or the assessments on the comparables that we used range between $77 and $102 a square foot. And the market is indicating a valuation between $85 and $96 per square foot. Some side notes in which I bring into the commissioners' attention is some interior inspection was performed in June of '21. The property is valued at normal condition, as are the comps that we provided to the board. We did review the appellants comps. We felt that the average year build on these were 1980s versions, so they were much older than our subject property. And we also felt that how they were coming up with the price per square foot for the building. They were using the land value in their calculation. When we compare the price per square foot on buildings, we use just the building value and not the land value, because that can vary based on location. And this is a copy of the documents that was sent to our office. All located in Iowa and Minnesota. We did not have the opportunity to call each one of these counties to verify open market sales. Just time-sensitive work, if this would have been the only appeal, maybe we would have had the opportunity to check these, but I'm not discrediting them at all. Just felt they weren't on a bird's eye view, they just didn't look comparable to our subject property. I am going with the original assessor's recommendation for a no change. We feel the subject is less per square foot than the cost and the market approaches used with the attached comparables. So to remain the value at $10,263,606.
Thank you. Is the appellant available?
Hi, yes. My name's Derek Gerton with Ryan, representing Wilson Trailer. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Perfect. Well, first off, I just want to thank the board for hearing this, and thank you to Carla for getting it back on the agenda. Certainly, Wilson Trailer is greatly appreciated that their appeal could be heard. I guess as it relates to the details of the property, I think everything they hit on was right in line. Obviously, for the 2022 assessment, Wilson Trailer saw a 36% increase in their value over the previous value, and that's kind of what raised some red flags for them. So therefore, we did a full review of the property. As Carla stated, the building is in average condition. There's really no deferred maintenance. It is a 160,000 square foot building on approximately 25 acres. In reviewing the property, we did a regional sales search to try to find any applicable sales. And, admittedly, the difficult thing with an industrial property like this that's situated in a relatively rural area like Lenox, it is difficult to find comparable sales. So therefore, we spread out our sales across 50 to 100 miles to basically find any industrial properties of similar size. And, even that is limited, but I think we did provide a pretty solid list of sales from the region that are of similar size. And there are, I will note, 3 sales with years built of 1999 and newer. And basically the sale price on all those sales ranged anywhere from $20 to $40 per square foot. So clearly from the industrial sales that we surveyed across the region, that was significantly lower than the current assessment, which puts the value of the subject property at $64 per square foot. With that, I do think that the sales we provided are representative because they are, certainly of the majority of them are over 100,000 square feet, which is much more comparable to the subject property than the comps provided by the assessor, which range from 42,000, and then the additional one is 73,000. I think obviously there is support for a reduction in value here just based on the comps. And certainly I do think it's hard. I mean, when you're talking about an industrial property in a rural area like this, it is a limited market property. And, admittedly, coming up with a value can be difficult. Additionally, I think the only other thing I have, and perhaps this is a question for the assessor, in reviewing the sales that were provided, I did note that comparable one parcel, the parcel listed is F502, but on the sales document, there was actually an additional parcel ending in F503. And it didn't appear that that was included with the comparable on the assessor's analysis. And based on my review, it looks like there might be some additional square footage that is included on that parcel. So I guess as it relates to assessor comparable one, my question would be if that parcel was included, and if not, I think the value on that sale may change pretty significantly. And the same is actually true for comparable number two. Their comparable includes sale or parcel F213, but then also the sales document that was provided, it lists F212 as part of that sale as well. So I guess that was my main two questions regarding the sale, but certainly we appreciate the board's consideration. And if there's any questions, I'm certainly happy to try and answer them.
Thank you. Does the board have any questions for staff or the appellant? Go ahead.
Sir, when you were doing your market sales comparables, I noticed you only listed Minnesota and Iowa. Is there a reason why you didn't include any comparable sales here in the state of South Dakota?
So largely we rely on CoStar, which is a national commercial real estate database to find these sales. And we basically started our search at 5 miles and then expanded out to what we think is finding a reasonable set. And what I provided were only the sales that I felt were comparable based on age, size, and then obviously we only provided sales that would be considered arm's length. So with that, we just didn't have any industrial sales in South Dakota that we thought were representative of the subject property. And certainly, admittedly, I think that does make this hard because there are, in the general, near vicinity, there's not a lot of quality industrial sales that can be used in the analysis. And that's where we kind of use what we rely on. And, obviously I think the sales we did provide with the prices on those around 45, it is significantly lower than the 64 provided or $64 value of the current assessment.
Thank you. Any other questions? If not, consider a motion.
I have a question.
Go
for
ahead.
Staff.
Go ahead.
Hang on 1 second. So the first acre's at $1.40, which is around 60,000 an acre, but the remainder's at 15 cents a square foot assessment.
That is correct.
I mean, what was that number I had? It was pretty low actually for assessment that way. You know, $6,500 an acre for the rest of the commercial property. I don't think by far there's no adjustment ever going to be on that land but up. I think we should review that for next year. Back to the building, there, I will concede that it's very difficult to do commercial property. We just don't have the volume of comparable sales. I will agree, it seems a little high, but I think we're equitable compared to other properties. So if we stay on the equitable side, absolutely, I think we're within line. It's just a matter, are we above what market is?
What would the board like to do?
I do have a question.
Go ahead.
In here, you said that the appellants provided comp sales are inadequate because they're not in the same state or county. Is that your own personal judgment, or is there some kind of state statute or something to that extent that says a comparable sale has to be in the same county or state?
I mean, when we compare sales, we never use Minnehaha. We don't have the sales database. I can't think of a law that says we can, but I can't think of a law that says we can go out to other states, other counties, you know, because we're our own jurisdiction.
If I can provide an analogy, I don't know if you've ever looked at residential sales across state lines compared to, you know, real paper property on this side of the line, but property in Minnesota is generally a little bit more affordable than it is on the South Dakota property side of the line. And I think it has to do with the fact that our property taxes are quite a bit higher and we don't have an income tax here. So there are some adjustments, you know, crossing state lines for comparables that I'm not sure are being considered.
State income tax.
And I don't know what that consideration is at the time either.
And Minnesota gets,
Thank you, Ethan.
only get reimbursed.
Any other questions?
Carla, can you show that per square foot again?
I did look up that second on this particular sale number 2. There was an additional warehouse on parcel number F12 that was 2,400 square feet. It would move, and the valuation for that warehouse was $69,000. So I don't think it would move the overall price per square foot. It might move this one slightly, but the assessment side, I mean, it would be adding 2,400 square feet on this, but then adding $69,000 worth of value, so it,
And we're currently at $63 a square foot.
on our subject.
Can we see those comparables again? The one
Is
sheet
comparables?
that we're
These-
per much per square foot. You said you were below like $70 per square foot, wasn't it? Or a
For-
previous screen. Yeah,
Is that the slide?
yes.
All right, time for one more question, then I'm going to close testimony.
Carl, is it typical to factor in depreciation when it comes to determining or assessing fair market value?
Yes, that is, that's within the cost approach to valuation in which we are using to value this property. So absolutely, the depreciation is taken into consideration. And that would be based on the age and condition of the property on, no matter whose property, residential, commercial.
What obsolescence factor did you use? If you have that available?
Well, this building is built in different phases. The original part looks like it was built in 2009. It's getting 18% depreciation. There's a part that was built in 2018 that's getting 5% depreciation. There was an addition put on after the sale in 2020 that's getting 2% depreciation.
So that's been accounted for.
It's, yeah, depreciation's being accounted for.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to close testimony and consider a motion on this.
Madam Chair, I'm going to offer a motion to follow our recommendation from the Department of Equalization and stick with the current assessment.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second for discussion.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I do have a question, Ethan or Carla. What other resources, given the commercial is probably the more difficult avenue to assess, is there out there for you to review and, better prepare yourselves and us for these types of conversations moving forward?
Much like a residential, I mean, we have a commercial handbook that we follow through our costing valuation service. We have had multiple training on-site and off-site with our commercial appraisers, with the Vanguard folks who came up with the manual. So, I mean, what other resources are there?
There's always educational
Yeah, there's
opportunities. We take them when they're offered.
Any further discussion?
Call the question, Madam Chair.
Is there any further discussion? If not, can we call the roll, please?
Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon,
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes. Motion carries. Thank you for appearing today, sir.
Yep, thank you. I appreciate the board's time.
Thank you.
Have a great day. Yep, take care.
We'll move on to our next agenda item scheduled for 9:50 this morning.
This was a tabled appeal from the, I believe it was the 20th. It may have been the 19th meeting. I apologize, I don't have that date in front of me. This was tabled because the commission and the appellant was hoping an assessor would come in and do an inspection on the condition of the home and the quality of construction. We have reached out twice to the appellant, make an attempt to make an appointment to get in. There's been no phone call return. Their voicemail on their phone was full. We couldn't leave a message, but although it's still tagged that we did try to call. We also reached out through their email, in which they provided through their DocuSign. So when we didn't hear back for the phone call, we did send a email stating that we've tried calling, your mailbox is full. Please set up an appointment, and then nobody responded.
On that note, I don't think I was here for that particular appeal. Was a motion made? Was there a pending motion and then it got tabled?
There was not a motion made,
Okay.
Are they on the phone?
no.
Madam
It's a-
Chair, I've offered a motion to stay with our Department of Equalization's assessment of the property.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Any further discussion? If not, will the clerk call the roll, please?
Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins.
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon,
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes. Move on to item 4 on our agenda, currently scheduled for 10 a.m.
Our next appeal is parcel number 280.19.00.001C. It's owned by Sun Enterprises, located at 1231 East 57th Street in Sioux Falls. It is a Hy-Vee, so it's a grocery store, built in 2006. We have it in normal condition. approximately 44,956 square feet. There's an attached C-store that was also put on in 2006 with a total square footage of 2,238 square feet. The assessment went out at $5,463,598. This was a direct-to-county appeal, so it did not get heard by our local Board of Equalization. This property was also tabled from our April 20th meeting in regards to some income information that we were still waiting on the appellant to provide to the county for consideration. I did reach out to the appellant in regards to that income information. I would like to share the email exchange
Go
with the
ahead.
board. And we haven't heard back with the income information.
You have not heard back. Are they on the phone?
I'm here.
Thank you. Thank you.
As always, we do try to consider all approaches to value if we are, have the information and it's reliable. We are making a recommendation to leave the assessment at $5,460,598. Our three approaches that, our three comparables that we are providing for the Board of Equalization today are all in regards to assessment equity. So there are some grocery stores that are within Lincoln County. There aren't any sales of grocery stores that we were able to provide to the county for this particular appeal. Again, we were waiting for some income information. We had provided the county commissioners some email exchange with the appraiser and the tax reps regarding the income information prior to this last email exchange that I provided to the commission. They've just not given it to us. So it's hard to do an income approach without any actual income that we can use to provide you with the
Sure.
information on the income approach.
Thank you.
Yeah, Madam Chair, and I chaired that meeting. Commissioner Poppins, Commissioner Gibbon were at that meeting. We tabled this so that the appellant would have an opportunity to provide us with that information.
All right, is the appellant available?
Yes.
Can you state your name and address, please?
Gabe Noller, N-O-L-L-E-R. Our address is 14360 West 96th Terrace, Lenexa, Kansas, 66215.
And what additional information do you want to provide today, sir, if any?
Well, I won't have any to provide at this meeting. And as far as income data, I mean, the only thing that we would have would be a lease. The issue with the leases for these types of properties is when Hy-Vee builds these, they do one of two things. They either continue to own it, or more times than not, at some point they will sell these, then lease them back. The sales are based on the cost of the building, and Hy-Vee sets the lease rate. It's not a market lease, so more times than not, these leases are not provided. What I would expect to happen is if Hy-Vee disagrees with the decision today, they may just end up getting an appraisal done and have an appraisal done moving forward. So, but I do not, short answer is I do not have any additional information for today.
All right, thank you. Does the commission have any questions for staff or the appellant?
Carla, looking at the assessment history, back in 2007, we were at $5,173,000, and Following year, 2009, 2010, we were at 5,000,003. Local boards must have shrunk the valuation for whatever purpose. In 2018, it was restored back to 5,056,000. It was formerly a Sunshine Store until it was purchased or leased by Hy-Vee. So when you look at the valuation of 2022 at $5,460,000, judging from back from 2007, 2010, 2018, really it has followed a fairly steady assessed value without being overboard of anything. Am I reading that correctly?
I see a lot of jumping around, and it's due to typically an appeal.
Yeah.
But yeah, the valuation itself, a full market valuation or a full assessment, has remained steady. The only difference is that you're looking at on the assessment history is they've appealed it.
Yeah.
And
So
they've been
I-
successful, and,
I don't think we're out of line
right,
in
correct.
any way, shape, or form.
It's about 5% higher than it was in 2007.
Yeah.
Are there any,
Growth of property has certainly enhanced itself.
any
more
other
than-
questions for staff or the appellant?
Can I make a statement
Briefly, sir, yes.
in response?
Yep,
Sure.
go ahead.
I would assume that one of the reasons that you would see that value in 2007 is it was built in 2006. I'm assuming that the value may or may not have been based on the cost. I don't know if the county's always valued it on the cost or the income. So those types of things may have changed. And as far as talking about not being out of line or talking about it has definitely improved, I just would like to remind that we're valuing the real estate and not the business.
Any last comment, Carla?
No.
All right. And close the testimony. Is there a motion?
If you kiss me, I would move that we keep it at the recommended assessor's recommendation at $5,460,598.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, will clerk call the roll, please?
Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins.
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon,
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes. Thank you for appearing today, sir.
All right. Thank you for your time.
Move on to item 5 on our agenda, scheduled for 10:10 a.m. this morning.
Our next appeal is parcel number 280.57.01.001. It's a Wells Fargo bank located at 3610 Avera Drive in Sioux Falls. Again, it's a bank that was built in 2006, normal condition, approximately 5,040 square feet. We have a total assessed value of $1,837,385. The assessor's office, we looked at comparables of other similar banks. With that being said, after we did our analysis, we are recommending no change for the assessment. You can see for our assessment equity, we didn't have any sales of banks within Lincoln County. Assessment equity, if you look at the first comparable, it's actually a Wells Fargo bank. And it's being valued exactly the same as the subject property. It is a year newer, and I think the price per square foot is about $1 difference. Our next bank is a U.S. bank, it built in 2005, being valued at $197 per square foot. It's a little bit smaller, but it is a higher quality bank in our assessment, for assessment purposes. The third is, again, a higher quality bank. It has a little more amenity, a little bit larger, and it has a lower level finish. Bank, we are assessing it at $211 per square foot. So overall, our assessment range, I felt that was very comparable to how we are valuing other banks within Lincoln County. The subject property is being assessed at $178 per square foot. The three comparables show a range between $179 and $211. Again, keep in mind, our first comparable is also a Wells Fargo bank, and it's being,
Carl, if I could interrupt you, I know it doesn't count because it's not in writing, but he just called and withdrew.
oh. Okay.
I offer a motion to
Well-
follow the,
Who's he?
Gabriel Ellers.
confirm there's nobody on the phone to represent, nowhere in the audience. Madam Chair, I'll offer a motion to stay with our Department of Equalization's recommendation on this property.
All right, is there a second?
I'll second it.
I have a motion by Commissioner Poppins, a second by Commissioner Gibbon. Any further discussion?
Madam Chair, I do have a question for staff.
Go ahead.
You use incomparable 1 at 5101 South Cliff. The total assessed value is 1.264. And then on this subject property at Avera Drive, the total assessed value is 1.837. Was the difference in value due to the, yeah.
Lot
That is
size?
correct.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to nail down, because if they were on the phone, I wanted to get into that issue. I mean, I'll probably support Commissioner Poppins's motion here. But if you are gonna use same bank, same layout, but the comparable is actually, what, 1 year older or a year newer? I was wondering why the valuation difference?
Yep. And that's why we break down the price per square foot. The lot and the building are separate, and you can see the assessment on the structures, and that's what the appellant was appealing, was the structure value, that it's being assessed equally to the other Comp One bank, Wells Fargo.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Any other questions or discussion? If not, will clerk call the roll?
Commissioner Aaron's?
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins?
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon?
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt?
Yes.
Commissioner Landine?
Yes. Move on to item 6 on our agenda, scheduled for 10:20. My computer says 10:20, so we'll go ahead.
This is not an appeal, it's a tax exempt property. We held back our tax exempt application to the commission because it was based on an appeal. So I held off for the approval of the exemption until after the appeal was complete. We have a property owned by a Fellowship of Christian Athletes. It is parcel number 280.07.01.002C. It's located at 1609 East 69th Street in Sioux Falls. Legal description is Lot 2C, Block 1, which is a replat of Lot 2A in Shadow Creek, Second Edition. After review of the tax exempt application, it is the assessor's recommendation to have the exempt status at 7% for the land and 7% for the structures, based on all the information that they provided to us during the appeal.
So your recommendation puts the land at $539,220?
No, that's
That's all set.
additional information that's
Okay.
provided on the forms. The actual recommendation is for the percentage of exemption. So it's
Okay.
being exempted at 7%. So
Then-
therefore, it's 93% taxable.
Do they agree with this, or are they appearing?
We, during, I believe they withdrew or they went with the assessor recommendation on their valuation, and they were aware of the exemption as well. So I can't remember what the email exchange said, but I believe they were in agreement with that.
Is the applicant present? Do we have anyone on the phone? No, okay. Any other questions for staff? If not, I consider a motion.
Motion to approve the assessor's recommendation as to tax exempt percentage.
Second?
Thank you. Any further discussion? If not, we call the roll, please?
Commissioner Aaron's?
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins?
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon?
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt?
Yes.
Commissioner Landine?
Consider a motion to recess as the County Board of Equalization.
So moved.
Second.
Take your pick.
Jinx.
I have a motion by Commissioner Aaron's, a second by Commissioner Poppins to recess. Will the clerk call the roll?
Commissioner Aaron's?
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins?
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon?
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt?
Yes.
Commissioner Landine?
Yes. And then we've completed all the items on our regular county agenda. So we need to reconvene as our
Yep, and adjourn.
Board of County Commissioners. Need a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Motion by Schmidt, second by Gibbon. Will clerk call the roll?
Commissioner Aaron's?
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins?
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt?
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon?
Yes.
Commissioner Landine?
Yes. Now I'd consider a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Will clerk call the roll?
Commissioner Aaron's?
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins?
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon?
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt?
Yes.
Commissioner Landine?
Yes. We're adjourned.